It's been a full 12 months since I've been using HackMotion, the little wrist sensor that promises to improve your strike, eradicate my slice, and all over just improve my game. But 12 months in, the big question is, did it actually work? So I've got plenty of swings on camera. I've also got plenty of data from HackMotion. I've also got some honest truths, and it's not quite what I expected. So when I started this over 12 months ago, the plan wasn't to become a tour player. It was to simply understand why some days the swing feels absolutely fantastic, and then on others, it's like I've never held a golf club in my life before. So HackMotion caught my eye because it measures things like wrist angles, takeaway, where I start my sort of downswing. All those things are measured in real time feedback showing exactly what you're doing as opposed to what you think you're doing. So if you've never seen or heard of HackMotion before, then the thing I would do is probably advise that you go back and watch the previous videos that I've filmed throughout the year. We've done perhaps one a quarter, but essentially it is this little device that you attach to your wrist and you attach to your glove, your lead hand, left hand for me. And what it actually does is predominantly measure wrist angles. It also measures your takeaway, and it measures how you sort of strike the ball through impact. And it gives you data via an app that you simply connect to. It's very intuitive. The app is incredible because it gives you a number of drills on how to correct the issues that may arise from the data that HackMotion starts to see and starts to deliver. And the thing I like about it more than anything is it's measuring something that you simply cannot see for yourself. So no matter how many times you might record on your camera or on your phone, you'll never get the accurate data that HackMotion is able to deliver. And then it provides you with examples on how to act, how to correct. So we've got a base in which we can start to practice with some kind of intention. So the big question on my mind when I first spoke with HackMotion was, could this data really help a golfer like me, an average golfer that has a basic understanding of the swing, but would this get a little bit too technical? Well, the simple answer to that question is no, it doesn't, because HackMotion do an incredible job of simplifying and allowing you to understand and better understand where you're at in certain positions. And for me, it was how I then translate that information and make me into a better golfer, meaning a more consistent swing. When I started back in March, HackMotion highlighted a number of errors in terms of positioning that I was at: wrists, arms, takeaway, address position, downswing, through impact position. All those are measured with real-time information that you can start to digest and understand. But it's not a simple change, and there isn't a simple fix. So if anybody out there is thinking they're just going to buy a HackMotion device, stick it on the wrist, do a few training sessions, and all of a sudden the handicap comes tumbling, well, I'm afraid you're going to be in for a real shock. But if you're prepared to put the time in, then understanding the data, starting to go through the drills that HackMotion will suggest to correct those errors within your swing, and all of a sudden you'll start to see, but maybe more importantly, you'll start to feel differences within your swing. And for me, there was a huge, significant change that hopefully you've all seen on screen in recent months, and one that I want to share with you that HackMotion suggests is still very wrong in my swing, but I'm making it work. So that is probably one of the biggest changes that you'll have witnessed on my swing in the last few months. And how nice did that feel? Because I now understand the issues that are within my swing, and I've gone from a fairly weak fade to a more powerful draw shape. I'm in a 5 hybrid, a 190 carry, a 124 ball speed. And if we go back to earlier shots that you might have seen, you'll see that we've almost jumped up 7-8 miles an hour in terms of that ball speed without an increase in club head speed. And that's because I'm getting the middle of the club face, but I'm starting to understand where my club is at in certain positions. If you go back to March, there was a lot of red on my screen, so every position was, I was struggling, I was failing miserably. And like I said, I went through a number of drills to try and correct that. If you then look at the practice session we did earlier today before we started filming, you'll see a lot of green tiles and a lot of green ticks. And on a personal level, I'm really pleased to see that and how much improvement has been made. But maybe more importantly, it's just understanding how I've made those improvements, how the swing plane has changed significantly for me. And that's been the key to hitting, like I said, now a draw as opposed to a fade. But there's one thing that I want to highlight that Hack Motion still says is incorrect, and it is technically, and that's my takeaway. My takeaway is still very much inside, and anybody who watches the channel will know that's an error in terms of a swing technicality that nobody would really want to see. But what I've managed to do is get a lot of green ticks in the boxes, live with my inside takeaway, because I found that really difficult to change. I've been doing it for 35 years. But the way I've adapted is I've managed to match the downswing plane to that of the takeaway. And for me, it's kind of neutralized each other. So I've gotten rid of that casting motion at the top of the swing, which in effect was delivering an open club face across the ball and leading to that cut shape. So I think longer term, and I want to be as honest as I possibly can when I'm reviewing this Hack Motion product, it's been incredibly good across the board. But I also think there's got to be a little bit of interpretation and understanding yourself about what is working for you and what isn't. And I think if I wanted to get to that sort of perfect swing, certainly visually, it would look a whole lot better if I could get rid of that inside takeaway. But I've got to make realizations in terms of the time and effort that it requires to do that. And what I've achieved so far is to change a heck of a lot and become a far more consistent ball striker. And that is very much down to Hack Motion in their ability rather, to deliver information that I can start to see and understand what is that same thing, what is really happening, as opposed to what I think is happening. And that's the biggest advantage that Hack Motion has in the longer term. You continue to use it, you take it to the driving range. One of the big things for me as well is that when things are going wrong, put this back on the wrist again, and all of a sudden you'll start to realize there's some red ticks arriving on your feedback in terms of the app again. And you'll start to realize that, hang on, yeah, I've started to do something that I'd perhaps corrected, and I'm slipping backwards into bad habits. And again, something that you've really got to pay attention to. But once you understand what the bad habit is, or maybe once you understand what the correction is, it is far easier to put right. So it's never going to be perfect. This game is blinking tough, and it's tough for average golfers who perhaps practice once a week, play golf once a week, or maybe less than that. So we've got to have some realization on what we can actually achieve. But Hack Motion is a good way of doing it. They have this sort of strap line that it is like having a golf coach attached to your wrist, and I think it's a real clever analogy. It's as good as you're going to get at that 24/7 ability to reach for that device, have a little look at the swing, see what's going wrong, make the corrections, and then hopefully you start to feel those corrections, ingrain them into your game, and in doing so become a better golfer, and in theory I suppose lowering your handicap. But either way, for me, it's just about hitting that ball pure and getting that feeling of hitting that draw shot again out the middle. It's been a fantastic experience. So big thank you as well to Hack Motion, because I'll be honest with you, it was something that perhaps I wouldn't have considered 12 months ago, and I would never let it leave my side right now. Right, as ever, thank you for watching. That's me done. It's been a lot of talking to the camera. I hope it's been sort of informative for you. And one thing I do need to mention that I forget on every video is that Hack Motion have provided us a discount code. It's as much as 20% discount going on right now off of Hack Motion, and there should be some information on screen, but certainly in the footer down below you'll find a link which will give all of our viewers that 20% discount. Hope it helps. If you go that way, then good luck, and I'll speak to you in a year's time and you can give me your 12-month overview, and hopefully it made you a better golfer. Thanks for watching. I will see you all soon.